I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy. Oh my God. I love you.
I love you too, babe.
I'll see you soon.
Bye. Am I the only one that's cried that's won?
Okay.
Next time.
Skibbity what?
It's 6-7.
I've got tough competition. To be or not to be.
Neither of us want to be the last girl remaining.
We are so neck and neck here.
What's it gonna be?
Don't look a gift horse in
Don't look a gift horse
the
eye.
Gordon tries fixing a restaurant stuck in its old ways. All new Kitchen Nightmares, Tuesday on Fox.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
Crews from St. Albans and beyond responded to a structure fire this afternoon, drawing a large mutual aid response. Our Callie Warren has the details.
Upon arrival, crews found fire showing from the first and second floor.
The two-story structure at 71 Denbo Road in St. Albans was decimated by a fire Wednesday afternoon. Nobody was injured in the incident, but the heavy fire conditions, combined with hot weather, made a stressful situation for rural volunteer fire departments.
So we're short-staffed on a good day. There's almost 10 fire departments here working together to put this out. So the heat of the day also causes stress, so it makes it so we can't reuse or rehab the firefighters as quickly and put them back to work.
It took crews about 2 hours to knock the fire down to only hot spots. The main fire marshal's office is investigating the incident. In St. Albans, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
A young child in LaGrange was seriously injured today when they were hit by a car reportedly driven by a family member. The Penobscot County Sheriff's Office says just before 4 o'clock this afternoon, a call came in for a 3-year-old child that was run over by a car operated by a family member at a residence in LaGrange. Dispatch was also told that the child was already being rushed to the hospital by a family member. A Maine State Fire Marshal intercepted the vehicle and took the child and that family member. The Sheriff's Office says members of their coordinated ambulances staged at various locations to get the child the quickest medical care possible. That child eventually landing at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center and is being treated for serious injuries. The accident is under investigation, but the Sheriff's Office says no further information will be released. In other news, a judge has revoked bail for a repeat trespassing suspect following back-to-back arrests in Bangor and Brewer. Police warn they are seeing a spike in attempted break-ins and repeat offenders. Our Grace Blanchard has more.
A woman is back behind bars just days after her first arrest for an alleged home break-in. Brewer police arrested 55-year-old Darcel Howard Tuesday after she allegedly forced her way into a local home and was found drinking coffee. During an arraignment on Wednesday, a judge approved a request by the state to revoke Howard's bail, as this marks her second trespassing arrest in less than a week.
The concerning part with this, with Ms. Howard, is that this is perhaps one of the most dangerous situations that you can imagine when you enter into somebody's dwelling.
Brewer Public Safety Director Chris Martin says there have been 8 separate incidents of break-ins or attempted break-ins between Bangor, Brewer, and Holden in the month of August.
Somebody's going to get hurt if this doesn't get stopped. It could be her, it could be somebody else, but this is a very dangerous, concerning behavior.
Martin argues that bail reform, packed hospitals, and severe court delays are feeding a vicious cycle of repeat offenses.
When someone like this commits a crime, it's like, this person's on 8 sets of bail, why are they out? And that's a great question, but there's a lot of factors at play.
Deputy District Attorney Chelsea Lynn says the county is in dire need of more state support.
Everyone is doing their best to make use of the resources that we have, but the bottom line is we need more resources.
If we can fix the system or get the system to be more accountable, then we'll have better outcomes and it'll make for a safer community.
In Brewer, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Maine's Attorney General is suing the Postal Service. AG Aaron Fry has joined a coalition of 25 states in filing the lawsuit to challenge its new rule that grants the Postal Service the authority to regulate mail-in voting in elections. A statement from the AG's office says tens of millions of voters across the country, including here in Maine, rely on mail-in ballots. And the coalition argues the Postal Service's rule will prevent states from effectively administering their mail-in voting programs, putting voters at risk of being disenfranchised. AG Fry said, quote, "This is not hard. The Constitution does not trust the executive branch with the responsibility of facilitating elections, and this new rule, this election interference, must be stopped," end quote. Meanwhile, the Mills administration is speaking out regarding the crisis PCHC is facing and the threat to care access for the system's patients. A spokesperson for the administration said, quote, "The Mills administration is saddened that Penobscot Community Healthcare is in this challenging financial position, which is likely to be made worse by an upcoming federal funding cliff for federally qualified health centers and impacts from President Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill." PCHC provides critical care to thousands of people across eastern Maine, and the administration will remain in communication with the organization's leaders as they move through this challenging period, end quote. Well, after more than a year without a contract, thousands of Maine state workers are one step closer to a new deal. The Maine Service Employees Association has reached a tentative agreement with the state, but the contract still has to be ratified by union members. Our Alex Schley has more on what held up the negotiations and what comes next.
The Maine Service Association represents thousands of state workers, from road crews and emergency communications specialists to science and human service caseworkers. All of them have been working under lapsed contracts.
And what we ended up coming to was 4.5% and a $2,000 bonus.
The union says the path to that agreement was anything but quick.
We did try to start this process back in December of 2024 is when we filed our demand to bargain. Then there was some hurdles that we went through, including the state wanted to dictate how big our team was. That got us to the table pretty late because they filed a PPC about that. We didn't get to the table until early June of 2025.
Union representatives, on the other hand, were also holding firm that employees needed more compensation.
The wages for state workers have not kept pace with their counterparts in the private sector, but also in public sector positions across New England.
After 11 negotiation sessions, the two sides were unable to reach an agreement, and the state declared an impasse, triggering the assistance of an independent neutral panel.
One of the initial counters from the state was 4.5% in the 1250, but the dates were also different. So that would have been effective in December of 2026. And our most recent one that we came to a tentative agreement on is effective in September.
With the tentative deal now in front of union members, officials say they hope to have a final vote in the coming weeks. Alex Schley reporting for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
The tariff conflict between the United States and Canada continues to escalate. In response to the U.S. imposing 50% tariffs on Canada, the country's finance minister announced yesterday that they intended on matching the Trump administration's tariffs, quote, dollar for dollar, rate for rate, with tariffs ranging from 15.25 to 50%. If Canada's counter tariffs go into effect September 8th, it'll focus on exports such as dairy, steel, agricultural equipment, and more. Today, we spoke with the University of Maine senior business lecturer who told us he expects the two sides to return to the negotiating table because he believes imposing tariffs at this current scale only causes instability. But he also says it's possible Maine industries could find a resurgence if they can no longer rely on Canada.
Some people will look at it as a devastating moment for the economy. Some economists and business people will see it as an opportunity to pivot.
Canada's tariffs on U.S. imports would total nearly $20 billion. And on a related note, Maine's 3 gubernatorial candidates today are speaking out as a resolution between the U.S. and Canada remains uncertain. Our Doug Banks spoke with them and has that story.
Trade talks between the United States and Canada came to a screeching halt over the weekend. Canada's finance minister announced days later retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods, spanning numerous products and totaling nearly $20 billion of annual United States imports. On Wednesday, Maine's 3 gubernatorial candidates reacted to the ongoing trade conflict.
We've gotten ourselves in a place where it's going to be very difficult in today's world for the political leaders to talk themselves off the ledge.
We get nowhere by failing to talk to our largest trading partner, both Maine's and in many ways the nation's.
Picking a fight with Canada, a great trading partner, is unhelpful for our state's economy.
According to the U.S. Trade Representative Office, Maine exported $1.3 billion in goods to Canada last year, representing 41% of the state's total goods exports. If Canadian tariffs go into effect September 8th, it's anticipated to impact Mainers relying on the neighboring country for trade, their products, and for some, supplying electricity to their homes.
Maine gets the vast majority of our heating fuel, lots of our gasoline from Canada. So this kind of trade war escalation could do much deeper damage to Maine families and our economy.
Escalation is just another reminder, first and foremost, that working people in small businesses usually get stuck paying for political chaos.
It is the most important relationship for Mainers. So I'm all about holding people accountable. And by speaking out, I expect to hold the administration accountable and hope to get them back to the negotiating table.
If elected this November, each candidate expressed a similar desire to strengthen relationships among those on both sides of the border.
My appeal as governor would be you have to get back to the negotiating table.
So as governor, I'd work with other governors. I'd certainly urge our congressional delegation to do more.
I will appoint Maine's ambassador to Canada, a person to actually be our emissary as a state.
Doug Banks reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The Washington County manager has been reinstated. According to the Machias Valley News Observer, Washington County Commissioners David Burns, Courtney Hammond, and Billy Howard voted unanimously today to reinstate Renee Gray. Gray filed a federal lawsuit against the county and the 2 commissioners alleging sex discrimination, defamation, and whistleblower retaliation. Her legal team claims she was ousted for cooperating with a state investigation into prior financial mismanagement. According to the paper, Burns stressed the action was taken to comply with a court order while Gray's civil case plays out in the legal system. Gray is expected to return to work immediately. And Senator Susan Collins was one of a number of stakeholders at a trussing ceremony for the brand new Kenduskeag Public Library. She joined town select board members, state lawmakers, and other project supporters for the event. The town's current library building, dating back to 1839, does not have bathrooms or running water and has limited space for visitors. The new library will offer modern facilities and more space for community engagement.
This new and improved Kenduskeag Public Library will build on its core function as a book lender to become a community asset, offering computer access, expanded offerings for children, and a much-needed meeting space for townspeople.
Well, Senator Collins secured $1 million in congressionally directed spending in 2024 to support the construction of the new library. She has secured more than $16 million in the past 5 years to upgrade 9 libraries across the state. And let's turn things over, folks, now for a first look at our forecast.
Thank you very much. Your first weather tonight is brought to you by Sellers Agent Sherry Therian at Listers Direct, offering a free home valuation and certified as a residential real estate divorce specialist. Start packing. All right. Temperatures out there for today, low to mid 80s here in Bangor, but a little bit of a sea breeze to keep you a bit cooler along your coastline. Mid to upper 70s for you for Rockland and the Bar Harbor, and same further up north. Northern tier of the state saw a lot of mid to upper 70s out there as well. So as we see for tonight, partly cloudy skies are moving in. We'll continue to see some cloud cover increase slowly throughout the day tomorrow, and there is a chance for a few storms later in the day, mainly into the western portion of the state, where some scattered showers and thunderstorms look to pop off just north of Portland. As this moves into then tomorrow night, more than likely we'll stay dry in here in Bangor until your Friday afternoon. That same cold front will start to initiate a few more showers and thunderstorms. Better chances for the Bangor area then. But overnight tonight, we'll see a few clouds out there working their way in. Otherwise, dry conditions, some areas of dense fog, and lows in the upper 50s for tonight.
Thank you, Chase. And still to come on Fox 22 News at 10. Earlier today, I sat down with Wabanaki Public Health and Wellness to talk about a new community initiative called Shared Tables, Shared Stories. Stay with us.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
You build more than projects. You build what communities rely on. When the job site runs on results, put Kubota to work. Backed by expert service and support from your local Kubota dealer. Right now, bring home select Kubota KX Series with 0% financing available or save up to $7,000.
Available at Doors Equipment, 1468 Outer Hammond Street, Bangor.
Here are the facts about Susan Collins and Medicaid. Susan Collins was the deciding vote to advance Donald Trump's Medicaid cuts.
Susan Collins was the deciding vote to advance the bill.
Now, thousands more Mainers are expected to lose their Medicaid coverage. Hospitals and clinics are shutting down, all to give massive tax breaks for billionaires. Look up the facts yourself and tell Susan Collins to stop voting for Trump's healthcare cuts.
Are your basement walls bowing, crumbling, or failing? Hi, I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems, all things basementy. Our stable lock wall system offers a patented, affordable, and permanent solution to save your foundation walls. It stabilizes, fills voids, and structurally repairs, leaving a new smooth surface. All the strength of new walls. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Everyone, we're joined by Lisa Sakabason from Wabanaki Public Health and Wellness here to tell us about a unique community event and community program, Shared Tables, Shared Stories. So what is that?
Well, Shared Tables, Shared Stories, I mean, it just sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it does.
It's a collaboration between entities. Wabanaki Public Health and Wellness is involved with one of the events, but it's with the Maine Humanities Council, the Maine Arts Commission, and Common Plate, which are three entities that are coming together to, engage in a statewide initiative to bring people in various communities around the table to explore, that particular place that we all share from the past, the present, and also what kind of community do we want to offer in the future or all share in the future.
And to be clear, this is a community gathering in real time. So folks are actually literally going to gather together at tables, so to speak. It's something that you have to make a reservation for or sign up for. So how does that work?
That's right. So this event, which is full right now in Bangor, but there is one on September 29th in Millinocket that Wabanaki Public Health and Wellness is hosting. But you can go on the Maine Arts Commission website and you can link to that website under their program tab. There you'll find a link to this amazing program, Shared Tables, Shared Stories. And there will show you every place that they'll have an event. This next event is this Thursday in Bangor, in Pickering Square. People bring a meal and they share that recipe. So what this initiative is all about too is, yes, coming together in a moment, but also having that moment be shared through a recipe book at the very end. So this is an opportunity for people to come together in community and connect, and we know connection heals.
And there's something especially nurturing about breaking bread together, sharing a meal together, sharing the recipe behind the meal together. All of that has sort of an innately nurturing force and collaborative force to it.
Absolutely, and that's why Wabanaki Public Health and Wellness wanted to be involved, because it was so connected to Wabanaki culture of storytelling, sharing connection and learning, and sharing food together.
All right, so folks can go on that website to get involved with the next event then?
Absolutely,
which
the
is
Maine
website?
Arts Commission has a beautiful site that shares, well, all of the story around this initiative and shows how you can get involved. So I hope people do that.
All right, well, we'll have that link on our website a little bit later on this evening along with this interview. We thank you for coming in and telling us about it. It sounds great.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, folks, we'll be right back.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails of quality holistic medicine.
I got hurt by a big truck. Why did I call the twos? Because life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. We got a client who broke multiple bones in a commercial vehicle accident, $700,000. Call the twos. We win for you.
It looked like another government shutdown that would cut Maine families off the programs they need. But Senator Susan Collins led the fight to keep government open, bridging the divide between Republicans and Democrats, and protecting federal funding and critical family services to help children and mothers in need. Senator Collins' bipartisan leadership makes a difference. Call and tell Senator Collins to keep government working for Maine families.
It's Toyota's national sales event with so much summer left to see. From the perfect seats in a RAV4, to reimagining spaces in a Corolla Cross, to rooms with a view in a Tundra. Don't you love when summer just clicks?
You could get an affordable $279 a month lease on a stylish Corolla Cross SUV with a $14,764 total contract cost. Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Toyota keeps your summer going.
Toyota, let's go places.
Troy Jackson likes to keep it in the family. When Jackson was Senate president, his son was one of the highest paid lobbyists in town. Special interests paid his son, and Jackson changed his positions. Just another dirty politician. SLF PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails of quality holistic medicine.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back. As battles for the majority heat up ahead of November's midterm elections, decisions in court could impact how and who can vote. Some states are suing President Trump over an executive order to restrict mail-in voting, just as many people across the country prepare for the early voting period. Fox's Mike Emanuel has more from Washington.
A federal judge lifted an injunction Wednesday against President Trump's executive order on restricting mail-in voting, a significant win for the administration ahead of the midterm elections. The Boston judge announced her ruling despite believing it is unconstitutional after the Supreme Court ruled against her similar injunction in a separate case.
We want to make sure that every vote in this country is counted appropriately.
The president signed the order in March to implement a uniform voting envelope and create lists of eligible mail-in voters in each state.
This is what President Trump, this is what the American people expect President Trump and expect this country to be doing when it comes to election integrity.
The Postal Service initially said it would not apply the rule to this year's elections unless both injunctions were lifted. Now the path could be clear for the agency to move forward.
Over my dead body.
But the Trump administration still faces plenty of legal challenges. Around 24 Democrat-led states have filed a lawsuit against the Postal Service to block the new rules.
States run our elections. Period.
The ongoing litigation comes as states are already making final preparations for the November midterms, which will decide the majority in the House and Senate.
It is important that we win this lawsuit because you have states that are within weeks, maybe 2 weeks, of printing ballots.
The Postal Service says it will not comment on the lawsuit. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Meanwhile, Iran's neighbors are now increasingly getting involved in peace talks, while President Trump says he's in no rush to end the conflict, even as it looms over the November midterms. Fox's Jonathan Hunt reports.
With the Iran war approaching the 6-month mark, President Trump says he's in no rush to end it, telling Al Jazeera Wednesday that it will go on for as long as necessary and that there's no timetable on peace talks. Trump's energy secretary met Wednesday with officials from the International Atomic Energy Agency, with Iran's nuclear program the key focus of the discussions.
The Iranian program has never been about commercial enrichment. They wouldn't bury that hundreds of feet underground and lie about it and deceive us about it. They have a weapons program.
Meanwhile, Iran's neighbors across the Strait of Hormuz now hope to broker a deal to reopen it. Oman says it's reached an agreement with the regime to clear the Strait of mines, but that the U.S. must also accept the terms. The U.S. is pushing ahead with its own strategy, a flurry of new sanctions it hopes will bring Iran to the negotiating table.
I think it's actually going to be a really significant piece of finally forcing the Iranian regime to recognize reality. And the reality is that they have limited cards to play.
But there is domestic pressure on the White House to resolve the conflict as well. With the midterms just over 2 months away, the war has driven up energy costs, much to the dismay of American consumers.
Has skyrocketed gas prices on everyday Americans, while at the same time putting Iran in a stronger position.
President Trump claims the Strait of Hormuz is open, but monitoring organizations say only a fraction of the normal traffic is passing through. In Tel Aviv, Jonathan Hunt, Fox News.
President Trump's team is not saying what the CIA director's sudden trip to Russia was about, but we are learning what it supposedly was not about. This as the president continues to deal with Iran, tariffs, and other issues. Fox's Alexandria Hoff reports from the White House.
The first clue of CIA Director John Ratcliffe's unannounced trip to Russia came via a U.S. transport plane spotted landing in Latvia from Moscow yesterday. Confirming the visit today, the Kremlin says the talks were between intelligence officials.
There were contacts between the special services. I can tell you that there were no meetings with the president of Russia.
Today, President Trump brushed off speculation that the secretive travel was connected to Russia possibly planning to test NATO's resolve, instead characterizing the trip in an interview as sort of semi-routine. I hate to disappoint people. We would like to see the war with Ukraine end. The president adding that Ratcliffe's Moscow trip was also not to address sanctions against Iran. Iranian state media reporting today that Iran's President Pezeshkian and Russian President Putin are expected to meet next week to discuss a $25 billion nuclear power plant deal. This, as Secretary of State Marco Rubio reportedly tells allies there will be no new strikes on Iran, with the administration ratcheting up economic pressure instead.
Those who tether themselves to the Iranian regime should expect to share in the isolation of a withering regime.
The Trump administration also holding a firm line on trade with Canada. Following a breakdown in negotiations, Ottawa is set to hit the U.S. with retaliatory tariffs up to 50% on hundreds of American goods starting September 8th. Farming is one industry bracing for impact.
It causes concern amongst our farmers and ranchers as it is a lot of unknown.
It's another layer of stress for American ranchers who, along with Republican allies, are pushing back against a separate White House plan to temporarily increase foreign beef imports.
President Trump says this plan will help lower beef prices and give farmers a chance to rebuild herds. The U.S. Cattlemen's Association says it will do neither. At the White House, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Massive flash floods along the border of Nepal and China left more than 150 people dead, with some 400 missing, including at least 47 Americans. Villages were destroyed along with roads and hydropower projects. We want to warn you that some of the imagery you're about to see is disturbing. Fox's Jeff Paul has details.
Seconds to find safety, people on Nepal's border with China running for their lives as a massive wall of water, mud, and debris comes crashing through. The powerful flash flood sweeping away cars, tearing apart buildings, and burying entire villages in its path. Hundreds, including some Americans, are missing, and the Red Cross says at least 10,000 families have lost their homes.
Entire villages seem to be completely swept away. The force of this water was really intense.
The disaster unfolding in Rasuwa, near the border with Tibet. The U.S. Geological Survey says a landslide struck moments before. One theory, part of a glacier broke off, triggering an avalanche of ice and rock, which in turn caused the flood.
Many people were not able to escape, and many buildings and markets and villages were decimated.
Crews are now racing to find survivors, but conditions could not be more difficult. Satellite images from before and after show overflowing rivers full of mud. Helicopter pilot Amam Budataki was flying above the area as the flood struck.
We could see everything being swept away and we felt helpless.
He says it was tough to watch while not being able to help those below.
So seeing nature unfold like that, it was really hard for us. We just wanted to get over there, help people out, and get the other rescuers there as soon as possible.
The UN says warming temperatures are melting glaciers in the Himalayas faster than before, leading to avalanches and floods. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the State Department stands ready to support Nepal. Meanwhile, the U.S. Embassy in Nepal is working to account for any U.S. citizens impacted by the floods. In London, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
And still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, we have more of your national headlines.
This fall, everyone's favorite small-town doc is back.
The level of stupidity in this town can never be overestimated.
Best Medicine premieres September 22nd on Fox.
Mainers work hard. Our leaders should too. Like Senator Susan Collins, who just cast her 10,000th vote.
The first senator in U.S. history to reach that mark without ever missing a vote.
Collins worked with Democrats to keep the Gulf of Maine open for our fishermen, kept our shipbuilders on the job with new funding, and Collins expanded health care for rural Mainers. No drama, just hard work and results. Call. Ask Senator Collins to keep working hard for Mainers.
For type 2 diabetes.
This is Erin, a mountain climber living with type 2 diabetes. So I know some of the toughest challenges are the ones nobody sees. The planning, the setbacks, the work you put in day after day. But remember, you don't have to face this alone.
Mounjaro helped up to 90% of adults reach an A1C under 7%. Some also lost up to 25 pounds. Don't take Mounjaro if you're allergic to it, or if you or someone in your family had medullary thyroid cancer or multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or vision changes. Serious side effects may include inflamed pancreas and gallbladder problems. Taking Mounjaro with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Tell your doctor if you're nursing, pregnant, plan to be, or taking birth control pills, and before scheduled procedures with anesthesia. Side effects include nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting, which can cause dehydration and may cause kidney problems.
Is living with type 2 diabetes your journey? Take the next step and ask your doctor about Mounjaro.
People ask me all the time, does Lowry & Associates really get all of those clients, all of those big settlements? Yes, we do. And you know what else is true? I really am standing on top of this big truck.
Today marked the final day of testimony in Lindsay Clancy's murder trial. Attorneys will have one more chance to make their case to jurors on Thursday. Fox's Caroline Elliott has more.
The evidence portion of Lindsay Clancy's murder trial is now over as both sides prepare for closing arguments.
Yes, it is my opinion within a reasonable degree of medical certainty that
Ms. Clancy was criminally responsible.
The prosecution's final rebuttal witness testifying that Lindsay Clancy is criminally responsible for killing her 3 kids. Dr. Gregory Sothoff says he believes even though Clancy was suffering from mental illness, she could still identify right from wrong on the day of the murders.
She was methodical and quite controlled and organized, even in that space of time that was short.
But the defense argues this was deeper than depression and said Clancy was suffering from postpartum psychosis at the time, driven in part by sleeplessness and anxiety.
The side effects, if you will, of a person who's suffering from serious insomnia can actually lead to psychosis, can it not?
Yes, it's possible.
Defense attorney Kevin Reddington says Clancy actively sought psychiatric help before killing her kids. He questioned Sothoff about 2 calls Clancy made to a suicide hotline in the weeks prior.
Why would she call Aspire again if they wouldn't help her the first time? In your opinion as a psychiatrist? Looking for help?
Continuing to seek help.
And yet again, she didn't get any, did she?
That's my understanding.
And the jury will return to court on Thursday morning for closing arguments and legal instructions before the jury begins deliberations. In Plymouth, Massachusetts, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
Social media giant Meta agreed to a multi-billion-dollar payout today to settle claims it designed apps like Facebook and Instagram to addict children. Fox's Rebecca Castor has the details from Washington.
Meta has reached a landmark settlement with the federal government, ending a trial that brought the safety of social media to the forefront. The parent company of Facebook and Instagram agreed to pay a maximum of $16.68 billion to 29 states to settle claims its apps are addictive to children and that Meta misled users about app safety and improperly collected the personal data of children.
We believe the proposed settlement filed today addresses some of the concerns at the core of our lawsuit and that it will force transformative changes necessary to protect our children.
The settlement requires Meta to make major changes to its platforms for young users, like daily time limits, nighttime blocks, muting notifications during school hours, and blocking beauty filters. It also resolves all state and federal lawsuits against the company, and Meta is now calling on other apps like TikTok and YouTube to implement similar protections.
As a parent, I'm proud both of the work Meta has done to protect kids historically and of this new groundbreaking agreement. But its success depends on all other social media platforms following Meta's lead.
The deal prevents Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg from having to testify in another high-profile trial. His company previously lost 2 state cases on the safety of its apps, and other platforms are still facing lawsuits.
Meta was sort of the capital ship in this armada. That's going to leave a lot of companies out there more vulnerable.
The nearly $17 billion settlement is just a fraction of the potential $1.4 trillion Meta could have paid in damages if it lost this federal case. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
The FDA has approved a new drug that fights pancreatic cancer. Revolution Medicines' daraxonrasib will be sold under the brand name Racinic. It is a daily pill that blocks multiple forms of the RAS protein, which is known for driving tumor growth in certain pancreatic cancers. A study was conducted consisting of 500 adults who had been treated for metastatic pancreatic adenocarcinoma, which is the most common type of pancreatic cancer. Using Revolution's medicines drug improved the patient's rate of overall survival by nearly double, from 6.7 months on standard chemotherapy to 13.2 months when using the new drug. And today, another painful goodbye. Hollywood bidding farewell tonight to Tim Curry, the actor who made a career out of unforgettable characters both on the stage and the big screen, died Tuesday night at his home in Los Angeles at 80 years old. From Rocky Horror Picture Show to Home Alone 2, he had a knack for playing smarmy villains and chewing the scenery.
Well, you got caught with a flat world. How about that?
Tim Curry created iconic characters, from Dr. Frankenfurter to Pennywise, delighting audiences with each word and every note.
Aren't you going to say hello?
Curry was drawn to the stage early on, starring in the original London production of Hair in 1968. In 1973, the British actor's musical talents would lead him to the role he may be best known for, the Rocky Horror Picture Show's Dr. Frankenfurter. He would play the character in London on Broadway, then on the big screen. Starring in the 1975 movie alongside Susan Sarandon and Barry Bostwick, the film achieved cult classic status. Showings play year after year with audiences interacting, singing along, and doing the time warp. Curry added to his movie musicals in 1982 with Annie, as Rooster Hannigan, with Carol Burnett playing his sister, Miss Hannigan. Other film roles included Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and Clue. His Broadway work earned accolades, with 3 Tony nominations for Monty Python's Spamalot, My Favorite Year, and Amadeus. In addition, he released 3 studio albums between 1978 and 1981. On TV, he introduced the famously frightening role of Pennywise in 1990 in the adaptation of Stephen King's It. Tim was also a voice star, creating hundreds of characters, including Captain Hook in Peter Pan and the Pirates, for which he won an Emmy in 1991.
A plain, blunt man.
Curry suffered a stroke in 2012. He did return to work during his recovery and made appearances like in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Let's Do the Time Warp Again in 2016. And after a break, the 2024 horror movie Stream. Tim Curry was 80 years old.
Imagine stepping onto your brand new deck, enjoying all the benefits of your expanded outdoor living space. Hammond Lumber Company can help turn that vision into reality. Visit any of Hammond's expansive showrooms and explore a world of possibilities. The timeless beauty of wood, the resilience of composite, or affordable, durable PVC. Railing options from traditional wood to sleek aluminum and contemporary cable railing. On-site consultation and delivery are available. Get started on your new deck when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
You don't get to buy the government that you want.
But let's look at what Troy Jackson did. Because Troy Jackson likes to keep it in the family. When Jackson was state Senate president, his son was one of the highest paid lobbyists in town. Special interests paid his son, and Jackson changed his positions. Was it a coincidence, or was something corrupt? Troy Jackson is just another dirty politician. SLF PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Why should your new floor come from Carpet One? Because we're passionate about the spaces our neighbors call home. We're part of your community, and we're also part of the world's largest cooperative of independently owned and operated flooring stores. So you can be sure you'll get great selection and outstanding value with every installation. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, tile, or luxury vinyl, our experts take the guesswork out of choosing the right floor. We're your local Carpet One Floor and Home, the one store for your perfect floor.
Around here, you take pride in your home, and who you trust to work on it matters. That's why folks turn to AF&F Carpentry. From kitchens and custom woodwork to full home renovations, we bring military-grade discipline and focus to every project. Our work has been featured on Operation CEO. No shortcuts, no surprises, just solid craftsmanship you can count on. AF&F Carpentry, serving Maine homeowners with pride.
We're ready for baseball, and off we go.
Major League Baseball, all season long on Fox.
Thank you very much. Tonight's weather is brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. All right, your highs for today, low to mid-80s here with sunshine in Bangor. There was a sea breeze out there for today, keeping you a little cooler along your central and eastern coastline. Mid to upper 70s for you, still low to mid-80s down to the southwestern portion of the state. But again, the northern tier of the state, same as your coastline, hanging out in the mid to upper 70s today as well. Very comfortable temperatures with the sunshine all across the state for today. And for tonight, we're getting a little bit of moisture working its way, and that's going to keep lows hanging out in the mid to upper 50s here in Bangor. A few of us could be near 60 along your coastline, while further north, many of us in the low 50s. As we go into tomorrow, we're going to have a chance to reach back into the low 80s here in Bangor. If we don't reach those low 80s, we'll be sharing the same temperatures as everyone else across the state. Many of us expected to be in the mid to upper 70s for tomorrow. But here in Bangor, looking at 81 for that high, a little bit above average, back a little bit below average for Friday. This is going to be our better chance for showers and thunderstorms on the way, especially here in Bangor. As we go into your weekend, upper 70s and low 80s, back near average, but there is a slight cool down expected into the mid portions of next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, about 4 to 5 degrees below average right now, sitting right at 74 for that high. So out there tonight, the winds are going to stay pretty light, but tomorrow some wind is going to work its way in ahead of the cold front. This model shows winds only gusting near 20, maybe 25 miles per hour, but a lot of other models have suggested that we can get some wind, especially closer to that front, that can gust near 30 miles per hour. So yes, a little bit of wind is expected for tomorrow, especially during those afternoon hours, and the wind's going to stick around a little bit throughout tomorrow night. It'll lighten up by Friday morning, but don't be surprised if some more wind returns into the afternoon, mainly for the central and eastern portions of the state, as right here you can kind of see the line dividing it. That's where your cold front is going to be for your Friday. So out there tonight, no cold front in sight just yet. High pressure. We'll have a few clouds out there. Our warm front is going to work its way in tomorrow. We're going to see some sunshine during the afternoon, but this is what's going to allow for some energy to build for a few showers and thunderstorms, mainly staying near the western portion of the state. Portland could have a few showers right around 2:30 or so, and then just north of Portland, a few stronger storms can develop, but after 7 p.m., these storms really aren't going to race east much longer. They're going to run into some dry air, and as you can see, they kind of die off into the night. So still going to see pretty dry conditions here in Bangor, but here's Friday. The front is going to be a slow mover. So here it is by 6 p.m. Friday, now making its way into the Bangor area and providing chances across the central and eastern portions of the state for some showers and thunderstorms and, of course, some beneficial rainfall. So for tonight, lows in the upper 50s, pretty dry out there, but some areas of dense fog are possible with partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, we're right back in the low 80s, partly cloudy as well, but a few storms may pop up towards the west tomorrow, and they'll stay to the west with south winds gusting near 30 miles per hour. So taking a look at your extended forecast, a bit cooler on your Friday, mid-70s then, with better chances for showers and thunderstorms. But then we see some sunshine Saturday, a great start to the weekend, right back near 80. Low 80s continue into Sunday, a slight chance for a few more storms, then mainly staying further north, but then we're drying out Monday, mostly sunny skies, highs then in the mid to upper 70s.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Here are the facts about Susan Collins and Medicaid. Susan Collins was the deciding vote to advance Donald Trump's Medicaid cuts.
Susan Collins was the deciding vote to advance the bill.
Now, thousands more Mainers are expected to lose their Medicaid coverage. Hospitals and clinics are shutting down, all to give massive tax breaks for billionaires. Look up the facts yourself and tell Susan Collins to stop voting for Trump's healthcare cuts.
When the morning light hits Maine, start your day with a good morning, Maine. Craig Colson, Janessa Bishop, by your side, bringing the stories that matter statewide. Local news and the forecast ahead. Wake up informed, ready to go on ABC 7 and Fox 22.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
ABC 7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Boys soccer team came within one overtime goal. This season, they're back for revenge. One thing this team values is how much each and every one of the players just enjoy simply having the opportunity to play the game. Many of them play soccer outside of the fall season, which helps them to build some chemistry. Forming chemistry and strengthening bonds early in the preseason is what head coach David Hamel says is key to the success later in the regular season.
100% chemistry, and we started that this summer. We did a team whitewater rafting trip. We did some overnight tournaments out in Western Maine, so it's a bit about chemistry, and if we can continue to grow that chemistry, the sky's the limit.
I think a really important thing that we need to really focus on early on is getting to know each other. There are a lot of new faces, like freshmen, that we don't know, and so getting to build a relationship with them is really important.
After an incredible season last fall ended in a double overtime loss to Halldale in the Class C state title game, this team is hungry, and the loss is serving as their motivation to get back to the title game again this season.
Anyone who was on that team last year definitely has a chip on their shoulder. We're ready to go back out and be the team that we were last year or even better.
The key definitely is to, show up every day, show up disciplined, show up willing to put in the extra effort, make the extra run, make the extra pass, and really just keep showing up day in and day out.
The Maine field hockey team is back in action and preparing for their 2026 season. They begin their campaign with what should be the toughest weekend of their season. Two nationally ranked opponents coming to Orono, first on Friday with number 8 Liberty and then on Sunday with number 15 UMass. It will be a trial by fire, especially for the sophomore class, as multiple of their 7 returners are looking to fill starting roles.
That's exactly what we were talking about today after, we've had 2 scrimmages so far. We're going into this weekend where we have good competition, and now it's like, all right, like some players have their own goals, for the season of like stepping into bigger roles, and they have the ability to do that, and it's just, helping them get there as we progress.
The Black Bears returned 5 seniors to lead this primarily young group, and they recognize the responsibility they carry on their shoulders, as well as how quickly it feels they were passed the torch.
I mean, it's crazy. I feel like I looked up to our 5th and 6th years so much when I was younger, and I wanted to be them. And it's just crazy to think that I guess I can be in that role for some of our younger girls.
I mean, this preseason, I catch some stuff like people down, a hard day, and I'm just like, I'm right there with you. Like, it never really goes away. You still feel that. 1st year to 4th year, you still feel the pain, the struggle, like all the emotions, trying to come back after a long summer. So I think it's just exciting to be not so far away from them. Like, it was so quick that I can still be there to be like, I'm still going through the same things, and make them feel like they're not alone in that.
Heading down to Foxborough, where the Patriots and Christian Gonzalez contract negotiation drama is heating up. In previous press conferences this preseason, Gonzalez has stated that he doesn't want to negotiate through the media, thus giving very generic answers when asked about contract talks. But on Tuesday, he gave a little bit more, as animosity has clearly grown, which he stated himself.
I mean, it's frustrating, but I mean, it's, I'm focused on the season. I'm focused on here now and doing what I got to do, and I'm out here to compete and get better. I mean, the office knows how I feel. My team has made it known what I feel, what I'm worth, what we feel, what I'm worth. So the right people know what I'm worth.
Just to clarify, just because there was speculation, was your absence totally injury related, or was it all related to the contract?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. I'm out here now, so it is what it is.
Now, Patriots Vice President of Player Personnel, Elliot Wolf, didn't comment a ton during his media availability on Tuesday, but did confirm that they have an offer on the table that would make Christian Gonzalez the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. Sticking with the NFL, the annual Pro Bowl is no more. After 75 years, the NFL has decided to part ways with the Pro Bowl, the league's all-star game. Every year, between 2 and 4 players in each conference for each position were selected to take part in the Pro Bowl, which was played the week before the Super Bowl. With the game being cut, the NFL becomes the first of the big 4 American sports leagues to cut their all-star game, and players will simply be awarded the title of Pro Bowler and be invited to a banquet to celebrate. That's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Steve McKay, the weather guy here. Finding the right home is just like a great round of golf.
Location, precision, and knowing when to pull the trigger. This season, find your perfect fairway. Get looped, get sold with Next Home Experience.
Augusta politician Troy Jackson. While his family cashed in, you paid the price. As state Senate president, he voted repeatedly for higher taxes. Troy Jackson voted to allow cities and towns to drastically raise your property taxes, hurting our seniors and working families the most. And Jackson supports raising taxes on your Social Security, making Mainers pay more while his family cashed in. We can't afford Troy Jackson in the Senate. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
When Maine has work to do, Quirk has the truck to do it. Get up to 15% off MSRP plus Quirk discounts on select Ram 1500s at Quirk Ram in Bangor and Belfast. Lease a 26 F-150 STX for $449 a month at Quirk Ford in Augusta and Belfast. Perhaps head to Rockland for employee pricing for all, plus 0% APR, or save $8,000 on GMC Sierra 1500. 4 truck brands, 1 Maine name. It's your truck. Find it at Quirk.
It looked like another government shutdown that would cut Maine families off the programs they need. But Senator Susan Collins led the fight to keep government open, bridging the divide between Republicans and Democrats, and protecting federal funding and critical family services to help children and mothers in need. Senator Collins' bipartisan leadership makes a difference. Call and tell Senator Collins to keep government working for Maine families.
On the pavement, Sunday, October 4th at the Sea Dog on the Bangor waterfront. Register now at purpleirisfoundation.com or scan the QR code. Start a fundraiser, win prizes. Sign up by September 1st and get a free t-shirt. Goodie bags for the first 200 people to register. Cancer survivors sign up for free. Proceeds support those battling cancer in Maine. Pound the Pavement, sponsored by the Sea Dog, Summit America, Peter and Deb Brontis, Eventful Maine, ABC7, and Fox 22.
Hey, Steve McKay, the weather guy here. Sometimes the best thing you can do is roll the windows down, hit the open road, and let the scenery do the talking. But what if the drive didn't have to end? Find a home with a view worth driving to. Get looped, get sold with Next Home Experience.
The stars of IndyCar take on the Milwaukee Mile for 2 races in 2 days. Saturday at 2:30 Eastern and Sunday at 1 on Fox. Welcome to the fastest racing on Earth.
The greater MDI community came together to help a lobsterman who nearly lost his life after his boat went down off the coast of Bass Harbor on Saturday. Our Sam Miller has that story.
What started out as just another day on the ocean for Captain Daniel Clausen of the FV Never Enough quickly turned into a lobsterman's worst nightmare.
I got to Guts Island Head, I slacked her back and put her in neutral, and when I opened up my cabin, the engine room was already full of water.
After calling out for help and getting into a survival suit, 2 waves hit the boat on its port side and rolled the boat over as it slipped underwater. Clausen spent 15 minutes floating by his boat before he was rescued by 2 fishermen, and the boat was lassoed and dragged to the town dock in Bernard. Half a dozen locals worked through the night to save his vessel, and around 5 a.m., the boat was uprighted and is now out of the water. Clausen says he is beyond grateful for all of the support from the community, saying the dock was full of people ready to help in any way they could.
I bet there was almost 30 people on the dock cheering for me to get her back afloat. I mean, my world was literally turned upside down, but when Tremont showed up, I was feeling very uplifted.
Following the incident, a GoFundMe for Clausen and his family was started and has raised over $40,000 for future repairs. Tremont Harbor Master Tyler Damon highlighted how amazing it is to see the community rally behind one of their own.
It's pride. I mean, that's the only word that you can really think of. I mean, you have to be proud to be a part of this community that comes together and really takes care of someone in distress, really. I mean, it's amazing.
The link to Clausen's GoFundMe can be found at our website at foxbangor.com. In Bass Harbor, Sam Miller, ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Mainers supporting Mainers. Alrighty, folks, that is going to do it for us. From everyone here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great rest of your night. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC7, right now for ABC7 News at 11.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create.
This is the start of a whole new chapter for me. No more sad sack, full-on fun sack.
Need to up your daily dose of comedy?
We have got this.
Stream all episodes on Hulu.
Every chip is covered in cheese. Not by accident, people.
Warning, binging Scrubs may cause uncontrollable laughter.
You should try some of that new Botox.
It's Botox.
That could be why I've been unhappy with my results.
Nope. Yeah, that felt like too much.
Jelly Roll guest hosts a new Jimmy Kimmel Live with Nathan Fillion and Juicy J in Project.
This is ABC7 News at 11.
A structure fire destroyed